Want to hear something that might quietly rattle you, something you've probably felt but brushed off? Those small favours you've been asked to do, the ones that seem harmless, easy, no big deal, but leave you feeling inexplicably drained? They're not just minor inconveniences, they're energy traps. And no, this isn't about demonising acts of kindness or telling you to stop helping people. It's about recognising the invisible toll these small asks can take on your time, peace and boundaries. Ever wonder why saying yes to something so simple can sometimes feel so heavy? Because deep down you know it's not just a request for help, it's a test of your limits. These favours often come disguised as gestures of trust, but in reality they quietly chip away at your personal space and emotional reserves. They benefit one side more than the other, usually not yours. If you find value in what we're discussing here, a simple, free way to support us is to hit that subscribe button, and don't skip any part of the video. Each piece of information could be the key to unlocking deeper insights into human nature and your personal peace of mind today. So why do we keep agreeing? Is it guilt, fear of disappointing someone, the hope that our goodwill will be returned? Maybe. But whatever the reason, it's worth asking yourself, at what cost? When you're asked to cover for someone, stretch the truth, or twist your values, whether for convenience or loyalty, what you're really being asked to do is compromise your integrity. That's not just a moral choice, it's an energetic one. Stoicism teaches that virtue, integrity, courage, justice is the only true good. Epictetus believed that integrity is a possession more precious than wealth or reputation. It's something we must protect, not only in grand gestures, but in small, everyday moments, because those are the ones that define who we are. Carl Jung also warned of the consequences of unchecked dishonesty, not just socially, but psychologically. Every time we lie or deceive, we feed what he called the shadow, the unconscious, darker side of our personality. The more we feed it, the more control it gains over us. So the next time someone asks you to do them a small favour that costs you your comfort, energy or honesty, pause, ask yourself, is this aligned with who I want to be? Because protecting your energy isn't about being selfish, it's about being sovereign. It's about choosing truth over people-pleasing, boundaries over burnout. And that choice, it's not just important, it's non-negotiable. Have you ever been asked to cover for someone, to tell a small lie or bend the truth just a bit, and found yourself uneasy afterward? It's a situation many of us have faced, and while it might seem harmless on the surface, these moments hold far more weight than we often realise. When you agree to twist the truth, even slightly, you're not just doing someone a favour, you're compromising your own values. And over time, those compromises add up. According to Carl Jung, each time we betray our inner compass, we feed what he called the shadow, that unconscious part of ourselves we often prefer to ignore. Left unchecked, it grows, guiding our actions further from the person we aim to be. That's why a simple response like, "I'm all about keeping it real," carries so much power. It's not just polite, it's a clear stance. It tells people that honesty is non-negotiable for you, and how they respond to that tells you everything you need to know about the relationship. Are they respecting your values, or are they just trying to use you to sidestep their own responsibilities? Marcus Aurelius believed that truth and transparency are the bedrock of trust. When you choose to live in alignment with that principle, you don't just avoid dishonesty, you actively create a life where people know where you stand. Yes, it may lead to uncomfortable conversations or even strained connections in the short term, but in the long term you gain something far greater, a life of integrity and self-respect. This same mindset applies to financial boundaries in relationships. It might start small. A friend needs $20 for lunch, a co-worker asks for a bit of help until payday. You say yes, happy to help. But when these requests become a pattern, without gratitude or repayment, something shifts. You stop feeling like a friend and start feeling like a walking ATM. Stoicism, particularly through the writings of Seneca, teaches that while generosity is a virtue, it should never come at the cost of your own stability or peace of mind. repeated lending without boundaries isn't just financially draining, it creates emotional strain and imbalance. Jung might say a shadow forms in the relationship, filled with unspoken resentment, guilt, and discomfort. So how do you protect your peace without severing the bond? A simple, respectful response like, "I wish I could, but I need to stay on top of my own finances," can go a long way. It's more than a decline, it's a reaffirmation of your own priorities. The way the other person responds tells you a lot. Do they respect your boundary, or try to guilt trip you into breaking it? If it's the latter, that's not just about money, it's about how they see you. Are you a person to be respected or a resource to be used? Marcus Aurelius often wrote about acting in harmony with your nature and reason. And in this context, reason tells you to make financial decisions that are sustainable, both for your bank account and your emotional well-being. At the end of the day, whether it's about honesty or money, the lesson is the same. You can be kind without being a doormat. You can be generous without abandoning your boundaries. And you can live a life rooted in truth and self-respect, even if it means having to say no. As a self-respecting and rational individual, setting boundaries around money isn't just about protecting your wallet, it's about setting the tone for healthier, more respectful relationships. When you communicate your financial limits clearly and confidently, you encourage others to think twice before making casual or repetitive requests. This simple act of honesty helps prevent the kind of unspoken resentment or confusion that often arises when money is exchanged between friends or loved ones. Boundaries, in this case, aren't about withholding, they're about ensuring mutual respect and clarity. But financial boundaries are just one part of the picture. Another test of your integrity comes when you're asked to keep a secret, especially one that feels ethically murky. You know the kind, don't tell anyone, but suddenly you're not just a friend being trusted. You're being asked to help cover up something that likely shouldn't be hidden. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism becomes especially useful. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to us that defines us, but how we respond. So, when someone places a morally questionable secret in your hands, the real question becomes, will you act in accordance with your principles, or let loyalty override your integrity? Carl Jung explored this dilemma through the lens of the shadow self, the part of us where we bury things we find uncomfortable, unethical, or socially unacceptable. When we agree to hide the truth for someone else, especially when it conflicts with our values, we risk merging their shadow with our own. Over time, that can lead to internal tension, self-betrayal, and confusion about who we really are and what we stand for. Being caught in this moral grey zone can be deeply uncomfortable, but the path through it is clarity. A calm, direct statement like, "I'm not comfortable being part of this," can be both liberating and respectful. It protects your peace, honours your ethical compass, and makes it clear that trust doesn't mean compromising your values. Setting boundaries, whether around money, honesty, or secrets, isn't about rejection, it's about self-awareness. It's about making space for relationships rooted in mutual respect and aligned values. And most of all, it's about living in integrity, even when it's inconvenient. Because the cost of compromising your peace, no matter how small it seems in the moment, is never worth the long-term weight it adds to your soul. At the end of the day, people are free to manage their secrets however they choose, but they shouldn't involve you in ways that compromise your peace. How they respond to your refusal is often a powerful indicator of the relationship's true nature. If they respect your stance and back off, it's a sign of a friendship rooted in mutual understanding. But if their reaction is manipulative or dismissive, it reveals something else entirely, a dynamic where their needs come first, even at the cost of your well-being. This is a defining moment. It's where clarity replaces illusion. Stoicism reminds us that while we can't control the actions of others, we are fully responsible for how we respond. In these moments, the Stoic path is clear. Stay true to your principles, no matter the pressure. That quiet resistance speaks volumes. It reinforces your integrity and more subtly challenges others to examine their own ethics. There are also situations where someone doesn't just want you to keep quiet, they want you to absorb the fallout of their mistakes. Picture a colleague mishandling a project and then subtly nudging you into the line of fire. It may feel easier to just go along, especially to avoid tension or seem cooperative. But agreeing to take the blame is a slow erosion of your character. It sets a precedent that your integrity is negotiable. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest minds, warned against compromising virtue for convenience. In a moment like this, he'd urge us to choose long-term moral clarity over short-term comfort. And Carl Jung, with his exploration of the shadow self, would caution that burying truth, even under the guise of kindness, feeds parts of us that eventually grow into inner turmoil. The guilt, the resentment, the self-betrayal, it accumulates. So how do you respond? With calm conviction. A simple, I can't take responsibility for something I didn't do, is both respectful and unyielding. It shows strength without aggression. It sends a message. I will not carry what isn't mine. This isn't just about you, it's about the environment you help shape. By standing firm, you uphold a culture of honesty, responsibility, and fairness. These are the values that Stoicism champions: courage, justice, wisdom, and moderation. When you refuse to play along with blame shifting, you're embodying all four. And there's another dynamic that often goes overlooked: the never-ending stream of small favours, the quick errands, the can you just requests that seem harmless but somehow always expand beyond what was promised. Suddenly, you're not just a helpful friend, you're a go-to problem solver who rarely gets the same support in return. This pattern drains your time, energy, and focus, assets that, unlike money, you can't earn back. Recognizing this is crucial, not to become unkind or unhelpful, but to stop being taken for granted. Epictetus teaches us to guard our inner world and focus on what's truly within our control. And in this case, that means drawing a line where your time is respected, not consumed without consideration. The truth is, protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's self-honouring. Saying no doesn't make you cold or distant, it makes you clear. It tells the world, I know my worth, and I choose where to invest it. And when you lead with that mindset, the people who value you will rise to meet you where you are, while those who don't will slowly fall away. And that's not loss, that's alignment. How we spend our time is one of the few things in life that truly lies within our control. When we allow others to dictate that for us, especially without considering our needs or values, we're not just losing minutes or hours, we're surrendering our autonomy. That's why it's vital to draw boundaries, especially when someone repeatedly asks for your time, skills, or services without compensation. A respectful but direct, I'm happy to help, but my work has value, sets the tone. It gently communicates that while you are generous, your generosity is not infinite or to be taken for granted. Fairness and mutual respect must be present in any exchange, and those are cornerstones of healthy, balanced relationships. Carl Jung might suggest that consistently saying yes to unpaid work, especially when it leaves us feeling unappreciated, plants the seeds of resentment deep within the unconscious. Over time, this can quietly erode self-esteem and bleed into how we see ourselves in other relationships, even beyond the one in question. By speaking up about the worth of your contributions, Stoicism doesn't ask us to stop helping others, it simply reminds us to help with clarity and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius spoke of acting with a reserve clause, meaning we should do good when we can, but remain aware that the results are often beyond our control. Applied to doing favours, this mindset encourages us to give from a place of intention, not obligation, keeping in mind our own limits, resources, and the reality that our kindness might not always be returned. So the next time someone asks for a favour, pause for a moment. Is this a genuine one-off situation, or has this become a pattern where your generosity is being quietly exploited? Let your answer come from a place of self-respect. Helping someone should never leave you feeling drained or taken advantage of. It should be a conscious choice that aligns with your values and honours your personal boundaries. In workplaces and social groups alike, it's not uncommon for a pattern to emerge. The same person repeatedly asking you to bail them out. At first, it might feel harmless, just helping someone out of a tough spot. But over time, you may begin to realise that you're not supporting a teammate anymore. You've become their fallback plan. From a Stoic perspective, Epictetus would advise us to stay focused on our own character and virtue, rather than trying to manage others' behaviour, unless, of course, it begins to interfere with our own ethical well-being. And in situations like these, it often does. It's not just about doing extra work or dealing with inconvenience. It's about enabling someone else's irresponsibility, which runs counter to Stoic ideals like self-discipline and accountability. Psychologically, this dynamic can be even more complicated. Carl Jung's idea of the shadow self reminds us that when we shield others from the consequences of their actions, we might be feeding a darker side of their character, the part that avoids growth, denies accountability, and expects others to clean up their mess. Over time, this can lead to a resentment, emotional fatigue, and a breakdown in mutual respect. That's why it's important, when the pattern becomes clear, to say something as simple and honest as, "I can't cover for you this time." It may seem like a small refusal, but it's a powerful step toward realigning the relationship. It's not an act of rejection, it's an act of integrity and tough love. You're giving the other person the opportunity to face their responsibilities and grow from them. At the same time, you're reaffirming your own worth and preserving your emotional energy. Ultimately, this kind of boundary setting teaches others that while you are supportive, your support isn't infinite or without conditions. It's rooted in respect for both them and yourself. Setting boundaries, especially in situations that may come across as exploitative, isn't always easy. It can feel uncomfortable, particularly when it disrupts existing dynamics or draws a negative reaction. But as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the right course of action often meets resistance, and it's precisely in those moments that we must remain anchored in our principles. By drawing clear lines, we don't just protect ourselves, we help build relationships grounded in mutual respect, where roles and responsibilities are transparent and individually upheld. Communicating your decision clearly and compassionately can make a significant difference. A thoughtful explanation helps others understand that your refusal isn't personal. It's a step towards shared responsibility. These conversations can even open doors to more effective collaboration and clearer expectations. In both personal and professional relationships, we're often tested, especially when someone asks us to take on significant risk with vague promises of support. Maybe it's signing off on something questionable or stepping into a difficult situation while they remain on the sidelines. Many of us have been there, realizing too late that we were left to deal with the fallout alone. This kind of dynamic reveals a fundamental imbalance, and it's a warning sign. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on virtue, wisdom, and self-mastery, urges us to evaluate decisions through the lens of integrity. Marcus Aurelius spoke of aligning one's actions with both personal nature and the greater good. When someone pushes you to carry a burden, they won't shoulder themselves, they're asking you to compromise your values for their gain. These moments also touch on deeper psychological patterns. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, those unconscious aspects of ourselves we tend to avoid, can come into play here. When we agree to shoulder risk alone, ignoring our gut instinct, we may be giving in to unconscious patterns of people-pleasing or fear of conflict. Jung would suggest using these moments to confront those shadows, to understand why we're tempted to comply, and to strengthen our commitment to conscious, value-driven action. A firm, honest response, "If we're not both in it, I'm out," can be powerful. It not only protects you, but sets a healthy precedent. It communicates that respect and trust must be mutual. If someone expects you to take on risk, they should be equally willing to stand beside you. This kind of boundary isn't about withholding support, it's about ensuring that contributions and consequences are shared. Taking this stance also gives you the chance to reflect on past experiences, where you may have allowed others to dictate the terms, or where you accepted uneven responsibility. That reflection can lead to more balanced, intentional choices in the future. Choices that preserve your energy, protect your values, and foster healthier dynamics. Insisting on shared risk in any partnership, whether at work, with friends, or in romantic relationships, helps ensure that no one bears more than their fair share. It's a sign of maturity and mutual investment, a signal that your role isn't just to support, but to be respected equally. And in a world that often prioritizes convenience over conscience, choosing to stand by your principles is more than a decision. It's a declaration of character. It says, I won't trade my integrity for short-term ease or approval. Thank you for being part of Stoic Journal, where we explore the path of living with depth, clarity, and courage. For more reflections on principled living, feel free to check out the videos on your screen. Your journey with us isn't just about learning, it's about becoming. So tell me in the comments which of these signs have you been seeing in your life, and if you're ready to step into your best self, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Your future is waiting. Now go claim it.